How's it going, YouTube? My name is ElbaNinja7, your resident Mistweaver monk, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at one of my raid kills. We're going to be looking at a kill of Rick Reaver, but it's not necessarily a talk through of specifically how to do this boss. The purpose of this video is something that you guys have been asking for a long time. We're going to be looking at my log, we're going to watch the VOD, kind of talk through my decision making, why I'm doing certain things, because I know a lot of people, this is what they ask for when I do coaching. So I figured why not kind of criticize my own gameplay. And I'm not going to be looking at my best kill of Rick Reverb. The only VOD that I have available is one from like a few weeks ago. So it was pre-nerf, but since then I've kind of adjusted how I do things on this fight to kind of compensate for the nerfs. And I'll talk about that. So I think it's actually going to be better that it's from before then, so that I can kind of talk about that contrast and you know, just different things. So let's go ahead and have the VOD pulled up. And one of the biggest things, especially as a Mistweaver, first off, we are playing the Chiji build still. It's the same exact build from my guide video that I'll have linked in the description below. If you haven't seen that Chiji guide video, it didn't really get pushed as much as my Yulon guide video, so definitely check that out. It's still 100% viable. But we're still playing that build. And this is even one of that build's worst bosses, in my opinion, because yes, you do have a lot of stuff to cleave your lightning off of when it summons those barrels, which is a great thing that you're going to want to do, is try to maximize your crackling jade lightnings for those barrels to get its full value nowadays. But it does pull you off of melee a lot. So when you're playing a build like this, you want to have a plan for those moments where you're out of melee. So you want to have some Vivacious's saved up, some Renewing Mist saved up if you're not going to be able to punch and kick the boss, or you want to have something like Celestial Conduit, Shayloon's Gift, your Crackling Jade Lightnings, some sort of plan of what to be doing when you're out in the distance. So that's kind of the biggest gist. But like I said, that is one big aspect of this fight, is that it pulls you out of melee a lot. But also one of the biggest aspects is that the damage is very predictable. You get a lot of damage when the boss summons the barrels on this fight. So this is going to be a great way where you can kind of like see planning of cooldowns and kind of setting yourself up to succeed. And in this VOD, I don't necessarily do that, but that makes for a better like learning and talking experience. So as we get ready to pull this boss, we have a lot of different markers. I'm not really going to talk about what we do on this boss, because if you're progging it, you'll kind of know. But for the most part, these beacons kind of just show where we stand. That's all you need to know. But here on pull, I try to get in as quickly as possible. I see a lot of people not rolling in at the start, or not just like Tiger's Lusting like 3 seconds before pool, but you got to do that so you get in and you get that first Thunder Focus Teed Rising Sun Kick off immediately. Notice here, that big circle, that's the first big moment that he pulls me off of melee. My Rising Sun Kicks, my Tiger Palms, they don't quite reach while he does that big circle, so I plan to use my Celestial Conduit for this moment. So yeah, once again, it's all about having a plan for when you're pulled out of melee. So at least you're doing something. It's not the best Celestial Conduit, but the best Celestial Conduit use is about a minute 45 into the fight. So I want to use it a minute and 30 before then, so that I have it up for that time, that better time. But right there, I just put it on cooldown. But now we're popping Chiji, because this is what I was talking about. A lot of the damage in this fight is predictable. These barrels are a big source of damage. That's these red circles that are coming out. So I want to Chiji either right as they're coming out or before they're coming out. But I choose before, because once again, I want to set up my second Chiji. And once we look at logs, it'll make a bit more sense. But I want to set up my second Chiji. We also got very lucky on the barrel spawns. They are all in melee. But oh, maybe that first one's not barrels. My bad. My bad. But I do Chiji there because that's a big instance of damage. But you see these debuffs. These debuffs are also a big source of damage, and that's what comes out from them soaking these things, getting that big debuff. So part of this fight is to be able to heal through these debuffs, heal through the barrel damage, and these debuffs are a massive source of damage. So making sure that you're tracking all the debuffs that bosses put on your party or on your raid will really help you as a healer, because you'll know who will need the healing. You'll see I'm still in the tail end of my Chiji. I know who to put that last Enveloping Mist on, and we're golden. Once again, I'm moving out of melee range, so I plan to have a Crackling Jade Lightning there and a Shayloon's, because I know that we're about to move, and I kept using my Jade Fire Stomp there right after that Crackling Jade Lightning, or right before it, and I wouldn't reset that cooldown, so I try to wait until they've moved and planted to use my next Jade Fire Stomp. But here we're about to get a big chunk of damage, and I just Shayloonsed because I'm planning on healing a ton over the next few seconds once these next mechanics come out. So having that Shayloons, that Shao Lesson buff for big instances of damage is very important. You see there, I just double Crackling Jade Lightninged. Nowadays, I would not do that unless they were barrels. So I would have saved those Crackling Jade Lightnings for now, since a lot of its value comes from cleaving. It did before then too, but you could get a lot of your Crackling Jade Lightning value before the nerfs on just hitting the boss. But nowadays, I would want to wait till these barrels spawn so I can at least cleave. Like I'd target this one, so it would cleave on all four of these guys, or maybe just target the boss once we kind of move it over. But yeah, nowadays, I would have Shayloons right before these, or right once these swirlies were spawning, and then I would rip double Crackling Jade Lightning, Thunder Focus Tea, a third Crackling Jade Lightning. Like, this is when you capitalize, get all that damage out, but it's very important to get that buff from Shayloon's Gift beforehand. I do still have that Shao Lesson buff. I'm sure we could hunt it down in my buffs list. Let's see, or maybe it just faded. But ideally, like, this is where I lost a lot of value on this parse, is like I was not using my buttons at the right time yet. This was still a very early kill, and I still wasn't as used to these mechanics as I should have been, to be fair. But you see there's some big damage out right now, so I'm like, okay, let's rip out those Crackling Jade Lightnings. I guess my Show's Lesson buff just fell off. And then, yeah, now I'm just missing out on a ton of healing that I could be doing from that Crackling Jade Lightning. I did have to cancel it early. And yeah, we should be sky high on the meter. So let's look at what I'm talking about in logs. So I'm going to pull up that log of Rick Reverb. You see there, I've since then gotten a better one, even post nerf, and it's just because I'm playing my Crackling Jade Lightnings better still. I'm using them on those barrels. But let's pull up this kill, and let's look at something that I don't think a lot of people know that you can do this, but you can see what spells you cast and when. You can literally see the sequence of spells, and to do that, this is my favorite thing to do when looking at logs. I click timelines, and then I come down here to casts. That's it. I just click on my own log, I click timelines, then casts, and you can literally see a timeline of a fight and see every like effect that you did. You see here, these rushing Jade Winds kind of tell a story. They kind of just tell me when I press, I think, my Thunder Focus Tea or my Chiji or something. But yeah, I think it's my Thunder Focus Tea. But they're kind of fake spells. But you can literally see, like here on pool, the first thing I did was I cast Jadefire Stomp and immediately rolled in. You can kind of do those two globals at once. And then I Thunder Focus Tea, or I guess I Rising Sun Kick, and then Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Jadefire Stomp. You know, you can see literally the sequence of spells that you cast. So let's scroll on over to when we do those big Crackling Jade Lightnings. And I want to show you the Shayloon's gifts that we're doing. So I guess I'm just watching the Shayloon's gift timer. So here, Shayloon's Gift right before Revival and Conduit, that is so much healing. Boosting the amount, you're like raising the ceiling of how much healing you can do in a second by buffing yourself with Showows, and then coming into these major cooldowns is the best way to get the best bang for your buck from your cooldowns. That's what I'm trying to show you with these Crackling Jade Lightnings. But as you can see, this is that moment in the fight that I was talking about. I popped Crackling Jade Lightning. It's just a raw Crackling Jade Lightning. I don't have my Showows buff. I don't have my Thunder Focus Tea buff. Normally what you should do before your big damage events, and I say this in my guide video, is you want to, when you're doing your biggest healing moments, you want to be as buffed up as possible. So this is a great example of this Crackling Jade Lightning did so much more damage than this Crackling Jade Lightning because I had a big versatility buff from my Secret Infusion, and I was buffed from my Shayloon's Gift. So already, like, I just know that this Crackling Jade Lightning was more damage than this one, and we can see that in the log. So let's look at 59 seconds versus about 51 seconds. 59 versus 51. So we can see that in our damage. So let's go over here to 59 seconds. I guess you can literally see the DPS number. So the first one was about 390k DPS. 390k DPS, and then the second one was about 600, so almost double the damage from Crackling Jade Lightning. And that was probably, there probably was an ad to cleave off of, but you just see how much more damage this second one did than the first one. This first one was about this low. Second one about this, I mean, it's literally double the damage, and it's because it was buffed up. So it's super important to buff yourself up. And I also think a lot of people don't fully understand the talent Jade Empowerment, the one that enhances your Crackling Jade Lightnings. I see whenever I do log reviews, one of the biggest mistakes that I see is a lot of people press Thunder Focus Tea and then immediately press Crackling Jade Lightning. I see that not just in Raid, but in Mythic Plus too. People do that all the time. And all you're doing is one, in Mythic Plus, you're not applying that dot first. You have to kick them first with the Rising Sun Kick, Tiger Palm, or Blackout Kick to apply your aspect dot. But in Raid, all you're doing is just shorting yourself this versatility buff. Thunder Focus Tea buffs your Rising Sun Kick, but then it can also give you Jade Empowerment. So you need to do this little sequence. So Thunder Focus Tea, followed by a Rising Sun Kick, followed by a Crackling Jade Lightning, and bonus points if you Shayloon's Gift shortly before them, because this Crackling Jade Lightning nuked. And then we go on ahead and we'll see a giant sequence, that sequence from before, Shayloon's followed by a Revival and a Conduit. That's two major cooldowns, one after the other, right after a big Shayloon's Gift buff. Massive throughput ceiling. So let's go and watch that. Watch up till that point. Up until that point, there's a lot of damage coming out, and I'm kind of holding on to my cooldowns for a bit because I know more damage is coming. Here comes that Shayloon's, followed by a Revival and Conduit, and just boom, you just see turbo healing. Let's see, do I jump? I do. I jump the Disc Priest that had already just jumped me. So make sure that one of the biggest habits that you need to get is try to buff yourself up as much as possible before your big damage or your big healing moments. And that doesn't just mean like Revival and Celestial Conduit. That also does include a Crackling Jade Lightning if you can. Like if you have Shayloon's Gift stacks to spare, and you know big damage is coming up, like big incoming damage is coming up, press those buttons and you'll get a lot of return from them. So this is a big part of the fight where during that intermission we can't go up to the boss because you have to dodge those circles. I guess you could do some like transcendence nonsense, but the thing is the boss is pretty damage immune, I'm pretty sure. So in this part of the fight, I was still pretty bad about healing it. I think on my most recent kill, I do think for one of them I did save Conduit for this. So I did save a button, a big cooldown that I could press on the move. But here you really want to be maximizing your Vivify healing. You want to get to the new circle as safely and as quickly as possible. So you could even Soothing Mist someone, for example. Like I could have just Soothing Misted Bob, for example. But here you'll even see me. I used a Thunder Focus Tea on an Enveloping Mist on the move here. But it's a very sketchy point for this build to heal through because I'm not very well equipped. And you see there, I used my Jade Fire Stomp. That's a huge mistake. Using my Jade Fire Stomp because I thought my raid leader said we're gonna stack like somewhere over here. There was something weird, but I'm basically fighting without my Jade Fire Stomp for like 15 seconds. So we're gonna start seeing my Blackout Kicks not really be as effective here. So I'm going to plan for that by using something like Crackling Jade Lightning. But you see now I'm getting 1 stack of teachings per Tiger Palm. But now we're back to it. But yeah, if you do get caught without your Jade Fire Stomp, like plan for that as well. Treat it as if like your Blackout Kick and your Tiger Palm are less effective for a few seconds toward the tail end of your Jade Fire Stomp's cooldown. So try to have something else you can press, like maybe a Shayloon's Gift cast to fill those last like 3 or 4 seconds of your Jade Fire Stomp coming off cooldown, or like a Crackling Jade Lightning or something. But now we're back in a Chiji, and now there's not a lot of damage coming out right this second, but I know there will be because I was watching my big wigs and I see that he's spawning the echoes and the barrels, and that is the big damage. That is the big damage. So I know there is damage coming, so I know that this is a good time to pop Chiji. And I am just doing the simple rotation from my guide video. I'm Tiger Palm, and then Blackout Kick. So we're getting up to 4 stacks of Blackout Kicking, and then Enveloping Misting. If I have Rising Sun Kick, I'm also pressing that. Else, I'm just Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, Enveloping Mist. Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, Enveloping Mist until I get a Rising Sun Kick as well. That's it. It's the basic rotation of the Chiji in this build. Notice also I did use Shayloon's before that Chiji, so just making sure I'm buffing myself up before those big healing moments as much as I can. And I can show you on the logs what a Chiji looks like. And you see here, my Jade Fire Stomp is about to run out. My Jade Fire Teaching is about to run out. And I should have just pressed it and started Crackling Jade Lightnings here. Let's see if I do that first. Jade Fire Stomp, Crackling Jade Lightning. Yeah, okay. So planning for when you're moving out of melee is very important. on fights. Not just this fight, which is kind of designed to do it, but fights like even the first boss, it's designed to keep you out of melee for a few seconds to avoid like oil and stuff. Like having a plan for that moment is important. But let's go to my Chiji. Where is my Chiji? Okay, here we press Chiji, and you see I have it macroed to my trinket. So whenever I press my Chiji button, it will give me a buff from my 2-minute trinket. So you can do this with like Soul-Letting Ruby because it's a 2-minute trinket and Chiji's a 2-minute cooldown. You can do it with the Signet, the Priory trinket. That's a 2-minute trinket. But notice, before I pop Chiji, what do? I do some very important stuff. I stack up my Tiger Palms there. I press it one too many times, but I get to the full stack of my Tiger Palm so that my first Blackout Kick within Chiji will unleash a flurry of Blackout Kicks. That's number one. I refresh my Jadefire Teachings buff. This is literally just straight from my guide. If you haven't seen my guide, definitely go watch it. But refresh my Jadefire Teachings buff. That way it's there for the first 15 seconds of my Chiji. I pop Shayloons to give myself another Shao-Ao's Lesson buff, and then I buff my haste with Renewing Mist. Now, notably, this is because I lined it up well here to where I did have Thunder Focus Tea at the beginning of my Chiji, so I want to give myself haste. But if you're in the middle of your Chiji when your Thunder Focus Tea comes off cooldown, it's okay to pop it on like an Enveloping Mist or a Rising Sun Kick. I do that a couple times every now and then. But if you get it beforehand, if you have Thunder Focus Tea up while you're about to pop Chiji, definitely use it on a haste buff. You'll love that haste. So I now have Shao's Lesson, I have Secret Infusion haste, I also will get the Invoker's Delight haste, and my trinket. This is going to be a juiced up Chiji. So what do? I Rising Sun Kick because it's ready. I unleash those Blackout Kicks. That will get me all the way to the 3-stack of Chiji. So I press a free Enveloping Mist, an instant cast Enveloping Mist. Tiger Palm. I did get that reset from Rising Sun Kick, so I press Rising Sun Kick. Unleash the Flurry of Blackout Kicks. It's literally the same thing. Like, look, it's very... it's the same stuff. My Jadefire Teachings buff's about to fall off because it lasts 15 seconds, 257. I used it at about 252 or 241. So yeah, checks out. My Jadefire Teachings fell off just then, so I refresh it, get right back into the Chiji cooldown. So this is literally just a Chiji window, exactly how it's supposed to look. So getting 2 Tiger Palms before each Blackout Kick, getting an Enveloping Mist after each Blackout Kick because it's instant cast, and then extending whenever you can. And that's literally it. That is literally it. And then I followed up all of that healing once my Jadefire Teachings, or once my Chiji ended, I followed up all that healing with the Crackling Jade Lightning because the healing still needed to be done. And you see here, Life Cocoon, Vivify, Celestial Conduit. So this is what I look at, is I make sure, am I doing my Chiji rotation right? Yes, I am. That's what I'm looking at when I look at logs. I also make sure, am I in the habit of buffing myself properly? Yes, I am. Am I buffing every major damage instance? No. And this was a couple weeks ago. So since then, I've gotten so good about this. I try to line up my Crackling Jade Lightnings for moments that I'm going to be in a Shao-Ao's Lesson buff. I do that almost every single time. And same with my Secret Infusion. I try to always line up my Secret Infusion and Shao-Ao's Lesson buffs right before big damage moments. And then I try to stack my Crackling Jade Lightning charges in those, my Jade Empowerment charges in those. Because it gives you just giant peaks of healing. We can see, let's see, about 244 on the meters. How much healing was I doing? 244 healing. Oh yeah, this is right once we start this Chiji, our healing just like goes so sky high. That is absolutely insane. Look at how much we peak here, and it's because I gave myself all those buffs. We come out of a Chiji, and we use all of those Enveloping Breaths that Chiji gives us at the tail end to just get massive healing done with that Celestial Conduit. All that Ancient Teachings healing from that Crackling Jade Lightning, like, it's just, ooh, we just set it up so nicely. So these are the things that I'm looking at when I review my logs. Am I buffing myself properly? Am I popping my cooldowns at good times? Am I always busy? Am I always casting something? Yes. Check all those boxes. Then I'm like, okay, then what can I improve on? And it's just little simple sequences. And that's when I like to do VOD reviews. So I'll first look at my logs, then I'll come back to my VODs and watch things closely. What do I watch? Well, one thing that I watch is my Blackout Kick. So, as you know, on the Celestial Conduit tree, we have a talent that makes it to where when we press our Blackout Kick, it doesn't always consume stacks. You see here I'm at 2 stacks, 4 because I Tiger Palm twice, and you see there I go down to 1 instead of down to 0. It doesn't use, you kind of retain a stack. So there, when that happens, I only want to press Tiger Palm once before I blackout kick next, because it'll unleash 3 stacks instead of wasting a Tiger Palm going up to 4 stacks. So that's one room of optimization. See there, I did press it one extra time. So there I'm basically just pressing a weakened Tiger Palm, whereas I could have just unleashed the 3 stack and then Tiger Palmed after it. So that's like one thing that I'll watch out for. And nowadays I don't do that anymore. If I do retain a stack, I'll just Tiger Palm once because it's more efficient. But this is how I personally review my VODs. I try to be as critical as possible. Like literally the most minute things, they all add up. I mean, they really do. That's how you go from like a 97 parse to a 98. That's how I went from like 60 parsing, a couple tiers ago to now I'm up in 90s. It's like I'm hyper critical of myself. I really want to make sure I'm doing everything as optimally as possible, lining up my cooldowns at the right moments. And like I said, this isn't even my best pool. Like I'm looking to improve. But you see here, ooh, I'm about to have a fat revival. Come on, rip it. I didn't do it in time. Now all the healing's done, but that's okay. I still did so much healing there, but I could have revivaled. Oof, would have been nice. But I mean, that's basically the gist of it. I guess we can go to the end of this fight. We do lose some people to the mind controls, but we can go. I kind of retain I'm doing the same stuff over and over, and that's why I really like this build compared to the Yulon build. The Yulon build is just as good, if not has a slightly higher ceiling, I believe. But I believe it has a much lower floor. So if you're someone who is newer to Mistweaver and you either that or you just really resonate with the Mythic Plus playstyle, this Chiji build is fantastic. Highly recommend you guys try it out. Like I said, I have a guide video that's still very up to date. The only change is that they've tweaked some of the numbers a bit, but it's still effectively the same. So definitely watch that guide video. Even if you watched it earlier in the season, go brush up on it, because I think it's just such a good build, such a fun build. And on top of that, you're doing so much damage for your guild. But yeah, super rewarding playstyle when you play it correctly. And there's always room to grow. I feel like there's always room to grow when you're playing Mistweaver Monk, because it's just one of those specs, and that's why I really love it. But yeah, like I said, make sure if you don't do this for your own logs, go to timeline, go to casts, and make sure you're playing properly. Like you should know the fundamentals. Make sure you're doing the basics, like pressing Tiger Palm twice before blackout kick, making sure you Jadefire Stomp at least every 15 seconds to maintain that buff. Like there should almost always be 2 Jadefire Stomps on the screen. Like just the very simple things that you're doing. And you can count buffs too. So like I know my Secret Infusion lasts 6 seconds. Shao-Wao's lesson, it's harder to do because it lasts a variable amount, but I know it lasts 6 seconds. So making sure that if you're popping your Thunder Focus Tea, it's purposeful. It's for a cooldown, and making sure that you do that within 6 seconds of giving yourself that buff, whatever buff. Like here, I gave myself a crit buff from Thunder Focusing and Enveloping Mist, making sure that when I pop that next cooldown to that big healing event, it's getting that Secret Infusion buff. Things like that, like the small things, they really add up. But yeah, this is basically a very shortened version of what I do with VOD review. Is I am hyper critical. Like when I watch people's VODs, I will literally watch it in like half speed and take notes on the smallest things, because that's what you have to do to improve. But guys, I love this build. Are y'all still playing this build? How many of you guys swapped to Yulon? How many swapped to Yulon and didn't even know that you could still be playing Chiji right now? Because you can. And I am still slamming big numbers on the Chiji build. Like, even after the nerf, like I'll show you all of my best kills were on the 15th. So on the 15th, look, you can still play this build. It does so much, especially on this first boss, because it gives you a damage amp, and that's just crazy with your Crackling Jade Lightnings. I wish I had this VOD. I really do, because this boss is super sick. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want more like this, or if you want me to review your VODs, that would be a really fun thing to do. So comment down below how you want this to evolve, if you like this, or if you want something completely different than this. Just screw the logs, just VOD review your own video. I'll do anything that you guys think would be helpful. I would absolutely do. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.